Yes, please continue.
Okay. In college, there was a teacher, her name is Marjorie Eubank. Marjorie got her PhD at age 50. Let me see if I can make it through this story without crying.
Yeah.
She was the next major mentor. Marjorie taught me how to teach. Even though she didn't teach acting, she taught all these communications courses. I stumbled into her senior level persuasion class as a freshman, way over my head. Mm-hmm. And I worked so hard that I got an A. And I took 5 classes with her. Marjorie had 2 children, Jim and Melly. And her daughter Melly was taken by forceps and brain damaged. And Marge gave up. She was teaching school at the time before she got her PhD. Yeah. And she stayed home with Melly, and she wasn't leaving the house. And a friend of hers advised her to go see a wise man in their town. His name was Captain DeWitt. To Marge's dying day, she didn't know if the story was true, but she got the message. And Captain DeWitt told her about an ocean liner, not unlike the Titanic, that struck an iceberg. And in this ocean liner, there was a nursery with 30 babies and a young mother. It's going down. The mother runs into the nursery to save her baby, but her baby is the 30th baby, the closest to the edge. No way she could save her baby. But in the effort to save her baby, the 30th, she let the 29 others drown. She couldn't save her baby, but she could have saved the other 29. And Marge got that lesson, and she gave Melly over to care, went back, got her PhD, and spent the rest of her life trying to save the other 29, of which I am one. And so it's Marge that taught me how to teach. It's Marge that taught me to use anecdote, she used to say, you've got to be a communist in the classroom. How you feel outside, that's human. You might like one person another than that's the way it is. But in that classroom, you have to be fair to everybody. She believed in tough love and being direct but not being cruel. So Marge taught me how to teach. And then it was my friendship with Uta Hagen who taught me how to teach acting. Uta never set herself up as a guru. She was fun. Yeah. You'd love hanging out with her right now. Yeah. You know, she'd be smoking a cigarette, having a drink, and telling you dirty jokes.
Yeah, right.
You know, if she
Life be in it.
Oh, yeah. If she walked into a classroom and the actors applauded, she'd say, "Oh, stop." Yeah. Right? And she'd sit down, and she's just, as a colleague, would give notes, never from ego, never from cruelty.
Yep.
And she was one of the few actors who could get past her own ego when she was teaching. One actress was doing a scene from Streetcar Named Desire, and Uta was teaching at my studio in L.A., and the actress said, "Oh, Miss Hagen, I'm so nervous doing Blanche for you." And Uta said, "Why, dear?" She said, "Because you played Blanche." And Uta said, "Darling, that was 1,000 years ago. Who cares what I did? Let's see what you do." And it was that. So it's Hagen that inspired me in that way.
Yeah.
And then spiritually, I quote him a lot. There's a rabbi, his name is Joseph Telushkin. He's written many books. One that's incredible for actors is called Words That Hurt, Words That Heal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Joseph that taught something that I teach, which is we judge ourselves by our intentions and others by their actions. Yeah. So he's been a spiritual mentor, wise man in my life. So there are a series of people at different times that have affected me in different ways, and that's how I got where I got.
That's how you've become the teacher you are.
Yeah,
That's actually answered a lot of the questions. I was going to ask you how you became this teacher that is so courageous in so many aspects, where other teachers don't go. You seem to be able to. You cross the divide with a lot of people so eloquently between it being a lecture and it being a gift. So, and you do that well, and now I can see by you saying that how you got that. So that's answered that question. That's wonderful. Thank you. And saying in saying that, you must also realise that you are now a mentor yourself to many people around the globe. As Phil says, like, you are a transatlantic teacher in many respects. And you cross, you know, like, through generations as well. Like, you know, you can talk to a 15-year-old, 13-year-old, and also a 70-year-old in the same manner, and it's the same language that you're using. It's so inspirational. And I guess in that sense, I would like to ask what your advice would be to actors, young and old, on, like, you're so good at allowing us to take care of ourselves on stage and empower ourselves on stage. So how would you suggest that we empower ourselves when we're not working, when we're off stage, when we're not auditioning, when it's just us?
Yeah. You have to do things that inspire you. It doesn't have to be acting related. It can be an afternoon at an art gallery. It can be a concert. It can be listening to music, reading a good book. I think we all need to nurture ourselves all the time. Otherwise, especially for actors, you're putting out all the time.
Yeah.
What's coming in? And whatever makes you happy. You know, we tend to want to sometimes postpone happiness until we get what, right?
We do.
I'm going to get this, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And I think if we try, and when I speak this stuff, I don't in any way think this is easy. And I'm not saying it's not a challenge for me every day of my life. Because with talent comes sensitivity and depression.
Yep.
And we have to be careful with it. So, you know, I look at what David Corey, the head of our voice program, his mother taught me something, Florence. And Florence is still alive, and I get the biggest kick out of her. She used to say, in all of her years of hard work, when she would come home at the end of the day, she refused to be defined just by work. She would make something of her evening.
Yep.
And I learned that from her. And so if I'm just going to make, I don't care if it's an hour, to read a book that I'm enjoying, to listen to something, to anything that stimulates or makes me feel good, I'm going to make time for that so that I'm not just putting out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell actors, do the same. Carve out a little bit of time, whether you've got families and marriages and relationships and obligations, carve out some self-time, because if we can be there for ourselves, we can be there for everybody else, but you have to be able to be there for yourself first.
Yeah.
And so we got to be very careful that we're not just putting out, that good things are coming in too.
Yeah, it is a give and a take, isn't it?
It is, totally. It has to be.
It has to be. And it also requires you to know who you are.
And what
what
you
to
like.
Give you, what to
And
give
what you
yourself.
like.
Yeah.
What makes you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very individual thing.
And very.
isn't it?
You know, I wouldn't say to anybody, this is the religion you have to practice.
Yeah.
This is the therapist you have to
Yeah.
see. This is the...
These are the books you have to read.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
not at all.
Yeah.
It is what you've got to find. My whole approach to teaching acting is you have to find what works for you, what's practical for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's about you.
Yeah. It's a holistic approach.
I hope so.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Okay, so now you've bought the T-shirt, you've written the book. So now, why bring the Howard Fine success story, your Pandora's box? Why bring that to Australia? What has inspired you?
The Australians. Okay, it happened in Sydney, and it happened during the reworks, as it's been happening.
Yeah.
The first scene, and I said this to the actors, so I said it publicly, the first scene that went up in Sydney, I thought, oh my goodness, have I made a mistake? It was so awful, awful. And I thought, oh good God, what have I done? It took me about an hour and a half to complete notes for that. The day got better after that. The first 2 days, a lot of information coming out of me. But the second 2 days, the third and the fourth day, what started to come back blew me away. The jumps, that people were making. And then it happened here again in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my goodness, these people are hungry, they're starving, they are talented and wonderful, and some have had some horrendous training. But the minute you give them the good stuff, they fly. And every teacher wants to be needed and wants to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I saw the difference that could happen. And then I got thinking about, what if I brought everybody else over? What if we brought the Singing for Actors program and the personalization and the Alexander technique? Because those are the things that help me in LA transform people.
Yeah.
I don't do it alone. I've got a team there. And so I actually started making plans for them without talking to them, which is not a good thing. Because my faculty are strong-willed people. I tend to, I think you understand this, I love strong people. I'm not attracted to emotional cripples.
Yeah.
I don't want that in actors. I love people who've got a sense of themselves. So my faculty are strong-willed.
Mm-hmm.
But they've never seen me as excited. And it's not as if I come back every month with a new scheme. I don't. In fact, I'm resistant to change. So for me to say, I think this is something we have to do. And they don't even yet know. I can't wait for them to have their first experience.
Oh, yes, right.
They don't, I mean, they know all about it. They're all scheduled. That's all happening.
Yeah.
But they don't know what the experience will be here until they do it.
Yeah.
And I think they are going to, they're going to be blown away. So for all of us, it's giving us this new frontier.
Well, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. With incredible people. Incredible. The other strange thing for me is I feel attached. In my own world, in my own master class, I have students who've been there 10, 15, and 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, they're working actors. They go film something, and then they come back. It's home.
Yep.
So I don't lose people that I'm attached to. Here, we have this incredible embrace, and then I have to leave, and I don't get to see everybody. So that's a strange...
So it's really a selfish thing that you're coming back, so you get to see
It's
ourselves
totally
again.
selfish. This time when I walked in, it was a whole different thing. I'm looking around at these cute faces that I love.
Yeah.
And I just felt, I'm home.
Yeah.
I feel that here.
Yeah, well, we feel that way with you here. It's very nice to have you
It's
back.
very nice.
I mean, it was an honour the first time, but it's just wonderful the second time.
Oh my God. And there's a rumor going around Los Angeles that I'm moving here. And I haven't dispelled it. So I thought, I'll teach you to take me for granted.
Yeah.
I'm off to Australia.
Put the fear in them.
They are not liking it, some of them. They're like, what is going on with this Australia thing? And I'll give this example. This happened in Australia, that happened, and my students are looking going, I'm not quite sure we're liking this. So it's fun.
No, we shall never take you for granted, Howard.
That I get. So of course I like it here.
Okay, well, I mean, they are the main questions that I had for you. Okay, this is a question that I would just simply like to ask Howard Fine because of the type of question it is. What would you, this is aside from acting, this is just a Howard question, what would you spend your last dollar on?
Food for my dog.
Do you know what my next question is? Does your dog have a better diet than you?
Yes. And my dog gets medical attention faster than I do.
See, I knew this.
You
to
did.
be true.
Yes, I would take care of the dog ahead of me. I do take care of the dog ahead of me.
Yeah.
He's at a country club. It's called LA Dog Works. And it's an indoor playground, an indoor park, where they play all day. So when he comes back, when I pick him up, he'll have lost weight from just the activity. And he'll be tired. But he jumps out of the car to get in there because it's fun. So, I love animals. And my parents were like that. They had special connections with animals. And and I don't have it to the degree that my mother did. Any animal a cat, a dog, anything that normally would be standoffish would come to her somehow. She had something about her.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's the truth. I would spend my last dollar on the dog and I would starve.
That's wonderful. I like you even more now, Howard. That's it.
That's it. Wonderful.
Fantastic.
That's also true. I'm not making that up. All right. That was an amazing interview.
He'd spend his last dollar on dog, you heard? Yeah.
We're not good city